What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We have an amazing episode for you guys today, and we're going to be covering what happened with Google earning, Microsoft earnings, and AMD earnings, and all of the crazy news that's going on in the market right now. Towards the end of the video, we have a $5.7 million options trade that expires this Friday. We're going to be talking about what's going on in the markets tomorrow. We have a lot of action, especially with the FOMC, a lot of big earnings, and then an update from Biden. So guys, really make sure to stick around to the end of the video. We have a lot of great plays today and a lot of important information to talk about. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day, but I was looking in after hours today, and Microsoft actually reported their largest revenue growth since 2018, and they are just tanking in after hours. So, Tom, I know there's a lot of craziness going on in the market right now. Fill us in. What's going on with Microsoft, Google, AMD?
Yeah, that's insane with that revenue growth. And they posted a revenue of $41.71 billion versus a $41.03 billion expected by analysts at Refinitiv. And that's a pretty big increase. They didn't really beat the expectation too much, but that's a huge increase from 2018. And then also their earnings were 1.95 EPS versus a 1.78 EPS expected. And that's insane as well. That was actually a pretty big beat on those earnings. And like you said, we saw it tank, and this is what we see with earnings. We've been seeing this go on quite a bit lately, and it's just a pretty negative thing. I mean, some of these stocks are posting fantastic earnings and then still going down, and it just sucks to see. But CNBC reports that the software and hardware maker posted a 19% annualized revenue growth for the quarter, which ended on March 31st, according to a statement. And that's the biggest quarterly increase the company posted since 2018. And that's thanks to PC sales resulting from coronavirus-driven shortages last year. And that's really the main reason why these tech stocks boomed, is because of the virus causing those shortages. And pretty much anything with tech or computers has done fantastic, and Microsoft has been one of those companies. But I can't explain why it went down here, but this is just what we see with earnings sometimes.
Yeah, I want to go over the facts again. So, we have these chip shortages going on right now, which benefited Microsoft. They had their largest revenue growth since 2018. They beat their estimates. They didn't crush their estimates, but they beat what everyone was expecting them to do. And then their stock tanks in after hours. So this is just, what happens sometimes in the market. And this is why I never play earnings. Because even if you do all of the analysis in the world, with these companies, sometimes you can report great earnings and the stock can fall. And we've seen this many times in the past. But I was also looking at Google, Tom, and they're actually popping in after hours. What's going on there?
Yeah, this one was actually fantastic. Their EPS was 26.29 versus a 15.4 EPS estimate. They absolutely crushed it, almost doubled their EPS, which is awesome. Their revenue was $55.31 billion versus $51.70 billion expected. They beat that by almost $4 billion. And then their cloud revenue was $4.05 billion versus a $4.07 billion estimate. So they lost out on that one a little bit. Their YouTube ads were $6.01 billion versus a $5.70 billion estimate. And that's just, all those numbers combined are great. The EPS was awesome. The revenue was awesome. It was one of the best things Google's had. Their revenue grew 34%, and it's one of the better quarters I think that they've ever had. And whenever we look at them on a daily chart, their EPS has just steadily been going up, and we can see they had a 22 EPS last time versus a 15 estimate, and they gapped up right there, and it was another 15 estimate, and we posted 26 EPS. That's an insane beat in its own, almost doubling the estimate.
Gotcha. So that's awesome to hear there. Sounds like Google is really crushing it. And then if we head over to AMD, they are up like $3 in after hours, which is good to see. But what are some of the earnings numbers?
Yeah, this one was a 0.52 EPS versus a 0.44 expected EPS, and that's not too big. But the big thing I think that's going to come out with the AMD is whenever that we start to hear about the conference call and what the CEO says about the chip shortages and stuff like that going forward. But it seems like as of right now, with the sales and with the EPS and everything, AMD is doing pretty good and going to the upside. We'll just have to see what happens in the morning because, like we see Microsoft here posting fantastic earnings and they're down. So anything can happen before the market opens tomorrow. But as of right now, it seems like AMD is doing pretty good.
Sounds great. So we also have to talk about what's going on with Powell tomorrow. So we do have the FOMC press conference tomorrow at around 2 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely be on the lookout for that. This should be a pretty important event. Powell should be live on YouTube. It should be live streamed. So just keep your eyes open and feel free to tune into that live stream right around 2 p.m. Eastern time. CNBC usually does a live stream for that, but it's definitely an important event. If Powell says something bad with, like inflation numbers or like raising rates or something like that, that can definitely impact the markets to the downside. And we also have Biden speaking to Congress in the State of the Union address at like 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Also, so that could also, depending on what he says, that can also impact the markets. And then, Tom, what's going on? I heard there was a deal with like something with AT&T or like Warner Media. What's going on there?
Yeah, AT&T actually owns Warner Media now, and then Warner Media owns Turner Sports, and the NHL and Turner Sports agreed to a deal that will see the network land its second-tier hockey rights for more than $1 billion over 7 years, and Turner Sports will get to broadcast 3 Stanley Cups and one of the NHL conference playoff rounds, and ESPN has the first rights to these. So these guys have the second tier rights, which is pretty much just like the second tier games. So for example, if there's a big game going on, it might be on ESPN, and then the second largest game might be on like Turner Sports. But it's a good deal. AT&T is getting $1 billion for this, and then also there was a new Mortal Kombat movie coming out on Warner Media's or AT&T's owned HBO streaming service, and it's called Mortal Kombat. It's a new movie. Some people were talking about it in Discord today, and they're saying that might help AT&T as well. But we'll just have to see. They posted earnings and actually did well, and then they've just been moving back down since then. But overall, I mean, AT&T should be a pretty good stock for the long term, and they have a great dividend as well. So overall, maybe they can grow in the future with all these streaming services and stuff that they're doing.
Sounds great. Well, let's get right into our momentum plays in the member of the day. Today's member of the day is Slick. So huge shout out Slick. He's always leaving great comments on the YouTube videos. He's been doing this consistently for months. So he's had member of the day a couple times in the past, but super consistent and super positive. So thank you so much for all the comments, Slick. Comments really help grow our channel. But let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. And with the first one, we have WFC to the upside.
Yeah, with Wells Fargo, go ahead and make them break above 45.25 tomorrow.
All right, and then we have UPS also to the upside. They actually are running on good earnings.
This one's insane. Make them break above 197.28, and it looks like they failed to hit 200 today, so watch out for 200 if they break that tomorrow.
All right, and then we have Tesla to the downside. So Tesla actually reported pretty decent earnings yesterday, and they're actually down a little bit on those numbers. They're down around 4.5% today. So what levels should we be watching?
It's not looking good. Make Tesla actually fall below $700, which is posed as a great support over the past few days. It did hit 698 and then come back up, so you'd be a little bit careful. Give or take a couple dollars here, but somewhere right around $700 should be an awesome support. If it goes below that, watch for it to really run.
Sounds great. So we are eyeing WFC and UPS for potential day trades to the upside tomorrow, only if they can break above the levels Tom listed. And we are eyeing Tesla for a potential day trade to the downside tomorrow, only if it can break below the level Tom listed. But let's get right into the $5.7 million options trade that expires this Friday. We are looking at the Microsoft 260 strike call options that expire this Friday. I'm definitely going to say that they're shorting these ones, Tom. Just look at the chart in after hours. It looks like these were maybe like covered calls, or maybe they were shorting these calls like just uncovered. But I'm definitely going to say that they're shorting them.
Yeah, that's actually pretty insane. 260 was right around the low of today. So that's a pretty insane position that they took. And man, if they shorted them, I think they definitely knew something was going on, given what the chart's doing. Definitely, I would think that they were shorting them, especially with the earnings coming up, and just given how often we see both the calls and the puts get killed on earnings. So just like we saw with Tesla yesterday, a lot of those puts still didn't even benefit too much today, even though Tesla went down. And I think that might be the main thing here. As of why they shorted those calls is because it's really just that implied volatility is just gonna destroy them.
So, Tom, you already know what I'm going to do tomorrow with Microsoft. They fell on earnings, and they actually had good earnings. So as long as the put premiums rise enough, I'm probably going to be selling some far out of the money puts. Like, in my opinion, it's a win-win. If we see Microsoft at like maybe like 252 tomorrow at open, and we see those put premiums rise, I might sell like, like the 245 puts or the 240 puts. And, in my opinion, it's just a win-win. I either buy Microsoft super low or I just keep the premium and run. So I'll definitely be on the lookout for that. The main thing is I just want those put premiums to rise enough. But let's get right into the questions from the previous episode. And with the first question, we have Derek saying, any thoughts on STON? So I don't really trade penny stocks. Tom doesn't either. That max weekly chart really scares me on this one. Their daily looks okay. I mean, their max weekly chart is really bad, but their daily's okay. It can be good for like a very short-term trade, but it's just not really a setup for me.
Yeah, I don't know what to really think about this one. It seems like there's a decent support at $2 even, but besides that, it's not a big mover. And honestly, the moves it's having aren't too defined, and it's not having movement like we see with some of those other smaller stocks where they move kind of like, they have similar movements to like a larger stock, but this one's just pretty parabolic, and it's very hard to tell like where the levels are here.
Gotcha. And then with the next question, we have the Lord's Chicken saying, Mike and Tom, what's up, boys? It's the Lord here. Let's talk about your thoughts on Uber, OPEN, and GHLD. Well, let's get right into it. So we have Uber with the first one. Let's take a look at Uber. They are in, let's see, they're like right above that 55 support level, which can be good. It's not bad. I'm just trying to look at a couple different charts right here. Yeah, it doesn't look bad. Yeah, the main level for support is like around like 55. If it retests that, I might do like a cash secured put or something. And then if it breaks out of that $60 resistance level, I would probably do like a day trade or like a short-term swing to the upside. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that 55 is good. Also 60. If it breaks above like 58.68, which was the high of pre-market today, tomorrow, maybe look at it more to the upside. Personally, given how it closed today, it looks a little bit bearish. So just be a little bit careful, but it could always come back. But just given how it looks today, it looks slightly bearish, I think.
Sounds good. And then OPEN. So this one doesn't look bad either. They have a pretty strong support right around like $15 to $16. It's not bad for a dip buy right around here. I'm not like a huge fan of it, but I'm definitely not against it. I don't think it would be bad to like start averaging in, maybe to like sell back at that resistance like right around like 25 or so. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks just like all the other value stocks we see, like Plug, BLNK, PLTR. A lot of those stocks that flew up this year, like to $40. Now they fell all the way back down to support at like $16 or $20. So definitely watch out. I think it's going to just follow what those stocks are doing. And if we go look at like PLTR, same exact game, over the past 4 to 5 days, they hit off that bottom support, came back up. Same thing with like BLNK, PLUG. So just watch out. I think all those stocks are kind of moving in sync with each other.
All right, and then we have GHLD. Not gonna lie, this one scares me a little bit. It is, yeah, it is like bouncing off that like $13.50 support, but this one, it's definitely not a play for me. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not a setup for me.
Yeah, this sounds actually pretty insane on the daily. These look like some pretty volatile candles here. And whenever we go intraday, I mean, it definitely has some decent movement to it, but it's just pretty scary. Actually, intraday, it looks like it actually doesn't move decent. It moves pretty bad intraday. So honestly, it's just a stock I would not touch. I don't know what they do, but if they do something good fundamentally that you like, then maybe go after it. But just personally, given what I'm seeing, their earnings are going down too over the past 2 times that they reported. So definitely be very careful. It looks like a pretty risky setup, and there's definitely a lot better setups out there like PLTR, BLNK, and some of those other ones that have a lot more potential, I think.
And then another thing with this one is that it's not too liquid. So some of these candles only have like 15,000 volume for the entire day. So that's definitely another red flag for me. Now with the next question, we have Reyes saying, thoughts on gold or GLD? Personally, I'm getting bullish indicators showing up on the weekly and daily chart. So let's take a look at GLD. I was actually analyzing some order flow on this one. A couple weeks ago, I saw a lot of money flowing into calls on this one, and I was also taking a look at it. I like it for like the next couple months, the next couple years. I expect it to be a very, very slow moving play though. So I'm not sure if you're looking at this as like a long-term investment or what the deal is. I like it right now for like the next couple years. So like I'm not like a huge fan of it. I wouldn't call it like an A plus setup, but I like it overall.
Yeah, I actually really love GLD itself. I love trading GLD options as Mike knows, but I actually love this support down here around 156 to 157 on GLD. I think that was a pretty good bottom here. Now we're getting up towards some resistances around like 170 area. We're also getting close to some SMAs, and I think that it might just be time like kind of like how we're seeing some consolidation right now. Don't be surprised if we continue to see some consolidation. You can see whenever GLD consolidates, it likes to go flat and trade in a channel for like sometimes over a month, and it's kind of getting to that point right now. And I think it will go up though over the next year to 2 years, but it's just as of right now, I think it might see some consolidation. But I think leaps or just getting calls on this, or not calls, just getting shares are the way to go here for GLD. And also look at slash GC, which is gold futures. That's another big deal in the gold market. You can see the bottom more defined here on the support, and then also we can see that the SMA is a little bit better. Sometimes GLD, the candles are just illiquid, or they just don't look quite right, but slash GC's charts look awesome, and that's because GLD isn't traded. It's not traded 24 hours like the futures are on gold, which is slash GC, and it is traded 24 hours, but it's just a totally different setup there.
All right, and then we have Bravo saying, "Hey guys, good talk. Thanks for the discussion. Can you guys talk about Apple again? Is it possible it goes to 135 to 140?" So let's take a look at Apple, Tom. Apple right now is sitting right around like 134, 39. It hit 135 today, so it's definitely possible. But, earnings are so unpredictable and volatile that it's hard to say. Apple does report earnings tomorrow, so honestly, it's just a total coin flip. Like we see Microsoft report pretty solid earnings, and then they're down like 4%, and we see Google also report good earnings, and then they're up a lot. So it's just a total coin flip for what happens this week. But in the long term, I'm a huge fan of them. Tom, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know what to think. Like you said, Apple or Microsoft unfortunately tanked on theirs. Google went up, so anything could happen with it. It's getting pretty close to a pretty good resistance here around 140. We're at like 134 to 135 right now. If we have great earnings, watch for it to possibly break 140 or more to the upside. But if we have bad earnings, watch for it to fall below 130. I think that there will be a pretty big move on this one when it happens. And unfortunately, personally, I think it's going to probably end up more of like a Microsoft than it will like a Google, but that's just a personal guess. And don't take any positions based off of that guess, guys, because anything can happen with these earnings, and don't gamble on them. I think it's just a pretty bad thing to do, especially with these ones like Apple and Microsoft, where we just have no idea which way.
All right, well, we have a pretty important day tomorrow, Tom. FOMC, the Biden update, huge earnings, market's pretty close to all-time highs. What are some of your top stocks you're looking at?
Yeah, I'm actually the top ones are going to be SPY, SPY, and GLD. Actually, I know we just talked about them, but GLD is pretty good. It'll move pretty good whenever the Fed talks. Normally, they like to move on, gold likes to move on the inflation talks and the interest rate talks. Sometimes SPY will obviously be a big watcher tomorrow, as well as the QQQ. Some of these earnings I think are gonna make some of these things skewed, like how the QQQ tanked off today, as well as SPY. I think Tesla had a big impact with that, and I think that going forward tomorrow, we're gonna see Apple, Boeing, and a whole bunch of other stocks also report, and it's gonna be a huge deal. And I think that it's just gonna be a huge day tomorrow, guys. Be very careful. I'm just gonna be watching the SPY, the QQQ, and GLD. Those are my favorite things to trade, and they really show a lot to do with the overall market, especially the SPY. That's my favorite one. We're right around all-time highs. Triple rejection over the past 3 days here around 418. So be very careful. I think that with all this stuff coming out, we might go to the downside, or we're going to gap up significantly. But it seems like there's a lot of tension in the air, and we're going to move big one way or the other.
Sounds great. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to trade with Tom and I every single day, swing trades, day trades, and access to our bots, you can click the first link in the description down below for about $40 off. And we have a Stocked Up phone number now, so text Stocked Up to 39970 for basically market updates and Stocked Up alerts and what's going on in the market right now. So text Stocked Up to 39970. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our new live trading channel. The link is in the description down below. Tom and I have been going live every single morning at market open, so feel free to come join us in the morning. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. But other than that, thanks for watching.